On today's show, after more than a month sidelined with injury, could Linus Ullmark finally be nearing a return to the Senators lineup?
And there's a rumor that the Ottawa Senators may be interested in trading for Elias Pettersson. Does it make sense?
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with the FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Just download the app and head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Today is Tuesday, January 8th, and Pilsy, Spartacat is officially on trial for treason.
I mean, hey, I don't think it was Spartacat's decision to wear that jersey. If you don't know what we're talking about, the Ottawa Senators posted on X yesterday, Spartacat donning a split jersey, one half Ottawa Senators, one half Quebec Nordiques. First off, Ross, regardless of how you feel about the split jersey, it was just a terrible visual. Like, it just looked bad in general. And a lot of Sens fans were not happy that the sacred Ottawa Senators logo was violated with a debunk NHL team, but still another NHL team's logo. Unless Sparty has a litter of kittens, half Ottawa Senators and half Quebec Nordiques, and they're trying to be a proud parent. Other than that, can't have it.
No, can't have it. And my wife said, I think you're overreacting. It's a literal mascot. And I said, no, you don't understand.
You don't get it.
You don't understand. First, they come for our preseason games, and that's okay. I'm happy to play preseason games in Quebec. Did I love Michael Andlauer saying that they were hoping that one day they could play regular season games there? No, I didn't like that. But to put our mascot in their jersey was just absolutely over the top. Now, full damage control, and I thought they actually did a pretty good job with the PR on it, just kind of, taking some accountability. I didn't love the TSN 1200 hit for Cyril Leader, but then he came out on Twitter afterwards and, said that if they had a do-over, they wouldn't. So accountability and, mea culpa, my bad. So you know what? We are on to Washington, but not before we put Spartacat on trial. I have an idea for his punishment, Pilsy.
Let's hear it.
A Tim Stützle buzz cut. He's got to re-earn that mane. He's got to go right down to the fur, and I don't want to see him shaking that mane on Thursday. I need an embarrassed cat. We need an embarrassed Spartacat on Thursday night, and over time, he can grow the mane back, but it's time to shave that thing off. Ask for the Tim Stützle at your local barbershop.
Yeah, Ross, but you're spinning this as if getting a buzz cut is a bad thing. Tim Stützle, he gets the buzz cut, Trim Stützle, I should say, and he pops off for some good games back-to-back. Sens fans are now getting in on it. Our guy, Nick Anderson, posted that he officially got the buzz cut. Martian is on the clock. I'm thinking about it, Ross, but just for the summer. Martian said that he likes to go short hair in the winter, long hair in the summer. Wild move. Doesn't make much sense to me, but maybe after the regular season, if there's still Sens hockey, I'll go for the buzz cut when the warmer weather comes around.
We got a quote here from Thomas Chabot. He feels bad for Spartacat today, quote.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Spartacat is the one catching all these strays, but
he didn't even retweet it. The photo's now deleted, but Sparty didn't retweet it. He's like, I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to. That was not his decision to wear it, and probably not his decision to post it. If it was a selfie and he posted on his account, all right, you got something there, Ross, and we can work on that. But I'm on Team Spartacat.
The paparazzi
Ross,
got him.
Yeah, seriously. You always call me a cat guy, so I'm standing with my cat here. Everybody back off Spartacat. Come on. But right. just to wrap up on the Quebec stuff, I'm with you. I think the issue is when you start taking Ottawa Senators home games and putting them anywhere. like I don't like the Sweden games either. Like they're cool, but I don't want our precious home games taken away from the CTC and taken away from the good people in the nation's capital, Ottawa and Gatineau. So when you start talking about an owner that's pushing to get home games not only away from Ottawa but to another Canadian city, that's where I think Sens fans had an issue with that, just because it's just not a good look. It's kind of like what people were talking about. Like, would the Leafs ever post a photo of their mascot in a split jersey? No. Would they ever push to get home games in a city other than Toronto? No. Like, so that's where I think Sens fans are like, what are we doing here?
And our guy Jack Richardson had a great take on it. Go check out his Twitter account. I enjoyed that video. Sens fans showed their teeth yesterday, as Jack said. Sens fans are going to show their smiles on Thursday if it's announced that Linus Ullmark is back in the lineup. TSN 1200 posting some video from this morning's optional skate. Pretty good group out on the ice there for the optional skate. Before we get to Ullmark, a couple other injury notes. Noah Gregor was on the ice before the practice wearing a I guess it didn't matter what jersey he's wearing if he's by himself. Watch out, maybe Spartacat will come out of the stands and rip him into the boards.
Hey, get off my guy Sparty. And hey, Ross, it's not like we haven't seen players get injured in practice, though. So
true. Cole Reinhardt is on the ice in a regular jersey. So good to see two players getting closer, but one even closest, I would say, would be Linus Ullmark. All three goalies were out there today. Anton Forsberg, Levi Merilainen as well. But Levi was down at one end working with the goalie coach, Justin Peters, while it was Linus Ullmark and Anton Forsberg taking shots from the team. Do you expect him to start on Thursday?
Him as in Linus Ullmark?
Correct. He is him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, Levy is he's in that territory, at least for a young goalie. The answer is no, Ross. I do not expect Linus Ullmark to start. Wouldn't the way practice is set up point towards Levi Merilainen being the starter in the next game?
I don't know. I think him getting shots is just a good sign, especially he hasn't had a whole lot of practice time. So I think for him, it's the more shots, the better. I think we'll get a better idea tomorrow.
But I mean, if you're going to be the guy that's starting in the next game, you'd think you'd be the one working with the goalie coach and getting as prepped as possible, not just casually taking shots in the other end. So for me, and you guys know, I'll say it every time, I'm cautious about Linus Ullmark because I love Linus Ullmark, not because I don't want him to play, but why rush? Give him as much time as he needs. Levy's still lighting it up. I would give Levy one more start at least. And then looking at the schedule here, it's weird not having Sens games bang, 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 like we're getting a bit of a break here. So after Washington, their next game is up against the Minnesota Wild at home. Maybe you look at giving Linus Ullmark that game. I'm not sure, but I don't think Linus is going to start the next game.
Okay, well, they're 2 games into this 4-game homestand. They will take on Washington Thursday and then Saturday against the Minnesota Wild before heading down to Florida to finish up before the break of 4 Nations. They've got 2 games against the Tampa Bay Lightning this upcoming Tuesday and Thursday, and then they'll wrap up the pre-4 Nations schedule with a game against the Florida Panthers on Saturday. So you're hoping that Linus Ullmark can at least get into a few of those games, especially if he thinks he's going to play at the 4 Nations. What do you make of that whole conversation now that we've seen a player pull out due to precautionary injury reasons? Alex Pietrangelo will not be playing for Team Canada.
But then isn't he playing for Vegas though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's that he's got a nagging injury that he's playing through but wants to rest it up.
Yeah, see, that's an organization, Vegas, where they're like, we don't care what anyone thinks or says. We're going to do what's best for us. And I kind of hope the Ottawa Senators do the same. Now, obviously, Team Sweden, no Markstrom, and then Ullmark kind of on the cusp here.
Just say, hey, maybe just give Forsey Ullmark's gear and see if nobody notices.
Yeah, give Forsey a corgi dog and have him walk into the arena with an Ullmark jersey on and say, hey.
No, just give him the Martian helmet.
Yeah, just dress him up and see if you can get away with that. But look, I'm very cautious about Linus Ullmark. Imagine, Ross, it would give us 2006 Dominic Hasek vibes if our star goalie went to play in and it's not even an international tournament. This is a tournament hosted by the NHL in the NHL season. For me, I don't want Linus Ullmark playing in this tournament. And I don't know what the reaction is from other Sens fans. Maybe we'll put a poll up, see what they think. But it's just not worth it for me in a season where you're finally in the mix for the playoffs. And not just in the mix, Ross. It's not like this team is chasing a wildcard spot. May I remind you, the Ottawa Senators are third in the Atlantic Division. So we're past a wildcard spot right now. And I know they're staying afloat without Linus Ullmark, which has been nothing short of a miracle. But the last thing I want to do is risk Linus Ullmark getting injured at the Four Nations tournament. And I think players want to play in this because it is a best-on-best tournament. Well, minus a couple nations that will not be playing in this one. But I think a lot of it is politics when it comes to the Olympics too. We know there's been some of the works, even with the World Championship, of teams being like, hey, if you want to be on our Olympic team, you better show that you're willing to play for us in other international events and things like that. So maybe there's some hockey political pressure there. But for me, the Ottawa Senators has to be the main priority for Linus Ullmark, and he's already signed an extension, Ross. Like, it's not like he's on a 1-year deal and maybe isn't that loyal or committed, or vice versa, the team to him. He's their guy, and the last thing you want is him playing a couple games before and then tweaking his back again at the Four Nations tournament. So for me, sit this one out.
The poll is up on Twitter at Sens Central. Should Linus Ullmark play in the Four Nations if he's back for at least 2 games with Ottawa first? I think if he doesn't come back and play for Ottawa first, he can't go.
For me, it doesn't matter, Ross. If he's back, not back, plays all the games, only plays 1 game, backs up, I don't care. For me, I don't want him going.
Okay, well, I put that stipulation on it so it wasn't a complete no-brainer bet, because I think the fans are saying if he's not back for Ottawa, he ain't playing there.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
If he's played at least 2 games, do you want him, yes, playing in high-pressure games, or no, it's not worth the risk? We'll have the answer to that poll next. Then we'll get into an Ottawa Senators prospect roundup. And the final segment today, are the Senators interested in Elias Pettersson from the Vancouver Canucks? Our takes on that and more on today's Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. A rematch of a Super Bowl just recently. Endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, or if you want to get crazy, bet on the over-under on the anthem time. I love doing that one. FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's just the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59.
All right, Pillsy. So we'll get to that poll in just a moment. Final thoughts on the Quebec City press conference was Antoine Vermette was there, Sens alumni. And I don't know if the younger generation of Sens fans really understands how effective a player Antoine Vermette was in his 5 seasons in Ottawa. I thought he looks almost younger now than he did when he played, man. Him and Thomas Chabot in that photo almost look like brothers.
Where Steve Staios should have slid over a PTO and been like, hey, we want you to sign some autographs here. Could you just sign this for a fan real quickly? And there you go, Antoine Vermette, PTO. But yeah, he was a classic Sen back in the day.
Yeah, a 2nd-round pick way back when in 2000, and played 5 seasons for the Ottawa Senators, collecting 167 points plus 11 in that span. He had the 1 year where he popped off for 24 goals, a career high in 2007, 2008. He was also 16th in Selke voting that year. Now, the trade
16th?
Yeah, it's not that big. It's on his hockey reference, though. I mean, come on. Come on.
He was top 16 in Selke voting.
Hell yeah. Stanley Cup champion in 2015 with the Chicago Blackhawks, but the trade that sent him away from Ottawa was in exchange for Pascal Leclerc and a second-round pick, Pilsy. Do you know who they drafted with that second-round pick in 2009?
No clue.
Trivia.
Yeah, I don't know.
Robin Lehner was the draft pick.
Wow.
So there you go. 2 goalies for Antoine Vermette. There's your little trivia for the day. A little water cooler talk. But yeah, go check out that photo. We retweeted at Sens Central too. Vermette and Thomas Chabot at the announcement yesterday. Speaking of the fans of the team, their reaction to that obviously not great. Their reaction to Linus Ullmark playing the Four Nations, also not great. 3/4 of Sens fans so far, only 150 votes here in the first 5 minutes, say no, it's not worth the risk. I feel like there's actually some parallels between the Quebec conversation and this conversation because we've been hurt before. We've been bit before by threats of relocation, and we've been bit before by Dominic Hasek playing international games and never playing again for the Ottawa Senators. So I'm not surprised by the results. If something, I might even be surprised that 23% think that he should go play there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Ross. If this was the Olympics, I think it's a different conversation. But this is a first-time tournament that the NHL is running that not even all the best players in the world are playing in. So I don't know. I don't want to rain on the parade of the Four Nations. It is going to be cool, and it's something new the NHL is trying. So I'll give them credit for trying something, but it's just different. And this is a Vezina winning goalie that you've signed to 4 more years that has back injuries. Let's not mess around here.
Oh, quickly as we get into our Sens prospect update now. Did you see, because I'm thinking about Carter Yakimchuk, obviously snubbed from Team Canada at the World Juniors. Did you see the 2 guys from the Saginaw Spirit who were snubbed? Michael Misa and Zane Parekh played in Ottawa over the weekend against the 67s. Each of them scored, and when they did, they stared down the 67s bench where head coach Dave Cameron was. That's a power move, and I believe a 6-1 win for them.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them, Ross. It's crazy that those guys were not on the team.
Unreal. So Carter Yakimchuk back from injury. He's now played 2 games after missing 3 weeks due to an injury, I believe lower body, but not a doctor, cannot confirm. In his first game back, struggled, 3 minor penalties, only 1 shot on goal. And then the next night, he's like, oh yeah, I'm sick at hockey. Goal, 2 assists, 4 shots on goal. And you'll never guess, Pilsy, the goal was on the power play.
Classic Carter Yakimchuk. I mean, hey, it's got to be like riding a bike for him. You haven't done it in a while. You just get back on the skates and back to scoring power play goals.
Who else you want to focus on here? You want to stick with the 2024 draft right away and just run through them because Gabriel Elias is a real plus player this year. I mean, he's never going to be an offensive weapon. So you really, the micro stats would tell you more of a story than what we get here on Elite Prospects as well. Only 5 points in 40 games, but he's a plus 10 with 82 penalty minutes this year.
Well, he will use that stick as an offensive weapon, though, Ross.
Yes, he will. He absolutely will. Hey, he's got 1 assist in his last 4 games, though. The guy's coming around offensively, but with his team, man, they're
Barry
playing really well.
Are having a really good season. Yeah, they're top of their division last I checked. So
yeah. In the power rankings that came out, they're 3rd behind. I know the London Knights, and someone jumped the London Knights, but they're 3rd in just in that stat. So I'm not mad. And speaking of London Knights, Pilsy, your guy Blake Montgomery just continuing to be an absolute stud.
Yeah, we mentioned it briefly on the end of last episode, but his 14-game point streak was snapped. No points in a 5-2 win up against Sudbury. He just took a little break there, Ross, because he scores a goal and assist in the 7-3 win over the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And now he's sitting in 29 games, 19 goals, 19 assists. So, yeah, he continues to be a stud. And it's going to be interesting, Ross, when we do our next top 10 prospect list. Well, I'm guessing we're probably going to take a look at that during the February break, eh?
We will.
It'll be interesting to see where we're going to have him because he is soaring up the charts as far as Sens prospects goes.
It's certainly nice to see. And in the 5th round, Ottawa took Eric Wallenius, and he's actually having a real nice year with the U20 team, which with HPK in Finland, 19 points in 30 games so far. And he's been invited to the U25 Nations tournament. So didn't get a World Junior invite, but did get called on for this under 20 team. So I'm going to be interested to see if this guy's got a chance to make the World Junior team next year.
All right, nice. So speaking of the World Juniors, Ross, our guy, Vladimir Nikitin, who was Kazakhstan's World Juniors goalie, he's now back in the BCHL with the Nanaimo Clippers. He played his first game, and he got a W, a 3-2 overtime win where he stopped 23 of 25 shots. So nice to see that he's back in the mix in the BCHL. And the Nanaimo Clippers, that's a team that needs some goaltending, Ross, as they sit 8th in the Coastal Conference in the BCHL out of 10 teams. So I think he's going to get some playing time there because he was with the Chilliwack Chiefs. They're first in their division, in their conference rather, by quite a bit, 23-8-4 record. So they don't really need any help. So they, I believe they traded his rights to the Nanaimo Clippers, and he's going to get a chance to play a bunch of games there. So hopefully that boosts Nikitin's stock here.
And in the American Hockey League, the Belleville Sens are struggling right now. Only 3 wins in their last 11 games. But there are some bright spots like Stephen Halliday, who's really figuring it out. He's on a 3-game point streak, has 4 points in those 3 games. And you can even go back. He's got 7 points in his last 5 games. So nice to see the disher putting the puck in the net, 3 goals over that span. And he now leads the team in point scoring.
Yep, Stephen Halliday leads the Belleville Senators with 27 points. Next is a 3-way tie between Crooker, All-Star Jeremy Davies, and Captain Garrett Pilon with 24 points. And Ross, I know we were kind of down and out about the Belleville Senators this year and being like, well, there's just so much bad luck with the injuries the Sens have and losing all their good players to their NHL team. But look, they have 6 less games played than the team ahead of them in the North Division, 5th place Syracuse Crunch. Now they're 8 points back. So they still have a lot of work to do, but 6 games in hand. And let's say Levi Merulainen does get called down and players start getting healthy on the Ottawa Senators and you get to bring some reinforcements back down. Sam Gagner, maybe he continues to pop off. He had an assist in one of his games already. So I'm taking back. I'm backpedaling on my saying that the Belleville Senators are cooked. I think they might have a chance here to sneak into a 5th place spot in the North Division.
They need just better goaltending. Like Levi Merulainen with a .901 save percentage is the only goalie with a better than .885. Like that's just not going to cut it.
Well, I mean, the goalies that they brought in weren't even expecting, I don't think, to play in the AHL this year, let alone be top 2 guys for a team for this long. So it was a tough situation by them. And then obviously Mad Sogard getting injured doesn't help either.
Yeah, you've got Malcolm Subban with an .882 save percentage in 11 games. Mads is hurt. He's got an .858 in 8 games. Michael Simpson's an .884 in 7 games. And Mark Sinclair is an .830 in 3 games. So they're going to have to get one of those goalies back. So as we said at the start, it's huge for Ottawa to get Linus Ullmark back, but it might be just as important for the Belleville Senators to get a guy back in there they can rely on night in and night out. Could the Ottawa Senators be looking to make an enormous splash in the trade market? That conversation's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, Pillsy. So the Ottawa Senators are off until Thursday, but there are some implications in tonight's action. There's 8 games in the NHL. And what about this? The Boston Bruins are in Buffalo tonight, and there's no underdog. We got a -105 line for Buffalo. We got -114 for Boston. Not only are we cheering for Buffalo tonight, but we're also cheering for the Chicago Blackhawks who are playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, it was a close game in Chicago last week. Tampa was actually down a goal in the final minutes, but they scored on the power play to tie it, and they scored on the power play in overtime to win it. They went 3 for 4 on the power play to beat Chicago. So, I mean, this is a tough night for us scoreboard watchers here, with Chicago and Buffalo being the two teams, I believe, last in the East, last in the West,
correct,
taking on the two divisional opponents who are chasing the Ottawa Senators. But you're crazy if you don't think I'm putting a $5 parlay on them.
I mean, I got to wonder what's going on with those odds, having no favorite in Buffalo versus Boston. That's or no underdog, I should say. That's crazy.
Yeah, Chicago's plus 300 in Tampa tonight.
Oh, man.
Elsewhere, this is a little bit easier. And I mean, Montreal has beaten a lot of good teams recently, but the Winnipeg Jets are in Montreal to take on the Habs tonight. We're also rooting for the Carolina Hurricanes over the New York Rangers tonight. We're rooting for the Colorado Avalanche in New York against the Islanders. And that's it on the out-of-town scoreboard. Last night, the Pittsburgh Penguins lost in regulation 2-1 to the San Jose Sharks. Like, I'm almost ready to close the door on their season.
What's holding you back, Ross? I'm putting the done chain on the Penguins, Ross, because especially they have 52 games played, and the only thing you hear out of Pittsburgh is Kyle Dubas is looking for a major fire sale here,
okay.
and Evgeny Malkin just got put on the IR. So
wow,
that team is in trouble. And Tristan Jarry set down to the Mindsies. Yeah, I think they're done, Ross.
Dude, they have 8 wins in 27 road games this year.
Yeah. They're a minus 40. They have the worst goal differential in the Eastern Conference, Ross. And the next closest is the Boston Bruins and Buffalo Sabres at minus 20. So more than double the worst goal differential in the conference.
Wow.
Or not more than double. Exactly.
All right. You've convinced me. See you later, Pittsburgh. Thank you for coming out. So with that, it is a tight race in the Eastern Conference. Ottawa sitting in that 3rd spot in the Atlantic, tied with Boston, but the Sens have a game in hand. They'll have 2 after tonight. Tampa's got 2 games in hand on Ottawa. They'll use one tonight. They're 1 point back. And then you've got Columbus at 55 points. Montreal at 53. Detroit won again last night. They've won 3 in a row. They've got 53 points. The Rangers have 52. Philly's got 52. It's so tight there. But could the Senators be in the market for a major swing in the trade situation that we've seen already with one blockbuster with Mikko Rantanen for Marty Necas? Obviously, other moving parts there. You already know it happened on Friday. But the 4th period, Dave Pagnotta, who hits some, misses more, I would say, is how I describe his insider track record. But he's taking a shot here saying the Ottawa Senators are a team to watch for Elias Pettersson from the Vancouver Canucks. What did you make when you saw that cross your desk?
I mean, I think people have kind of been hinting at this, and you can kind of connect the dots that it makes sense a little bit. Both of them similar ages. Both of them left shot centers. Pettersson's 26, Norris is 25.
Oh, I didn't mention Norris at all yet.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad. Spoiler alert. Josh Norris is likely going to be the player going the other way. Like there's no other really player or package that makes sense money wise, talent wise, value wise. So it's probably going to be Josh Norris. That would be who the Canucks would be looking at as a start to the package. It's obviously not a 1-for-1, but Ross, I was looking at this and it's not that crazy for the Ottawa Senators. Like I think when initially we started discussing this in the postcast crew group message, we were like, oh man, Pettersson is that's such a huge contract. It's so much money. Pettersson only makes $3.75 million more than Josh Norris. Like that is, you can make that work for sure. And if the cap continues to go up, that won't be an issue at all. And this would be the ultimate buy low scenario on Elias Pettersson. Ross, have you looked at his point totals recently?
I'm looking at them right now.
43 games, 11 goals, 20 assists for 31 points. He's projected to finish the year with 54 points after having 89 last year and 102 the year before. So like, I know, obviously, Canucks GM is going to say, well, look, like we're not decreasing the value on him that much just based on his points. But if there was a time to push your chips in to try to acquire Elias Pettersson, now would be that time.
And it would also be that time because next year or this summer, he has a no-move clause kicking in, a full no-move clause. He's in the first year of an 8-year contract, Pillsy.
Well,
that in itself kind of worries me.
But a no move is different than a no trade.
No move is it's you cannot be traded, sent to the minors, or waived. It's the most you can get.
Oh, okay. See, I was under the impression that a no move was just a waiver.
No, full no move.
Okay.
You ain't leaving.
Yeah. Wow.
He'd be 33 when the deal expires. If he hits his potential, holy smokes, would it ever be a home run scenario? I just worry about the off ice issues. It feels like there's been a lot of drama around Vancouver. Do you want to go out? I mean, Travis Green would have a pretty good handle on it. He coached the kid.
Yeah, exactly. And Ross, you're not acquiring JT Miller in the deal as well, so I think that helps. A lot of the issues seem to be linked to JT Miller. At least that's the kind of word on the street. And Ross, Swedish players love living in Ottawa, so like I think you could sell him on being here long term.
But you can't be like, oh, Daniel Alfredsson would be so great for him. I mean, he's got both Sedins on the development staff in Vancouver. So it's not like he's not around legendary Swedish players. So if they can't get him going, what's to say Alfie can't?
Yeah, but you can't tell the difference between those two guys. So really, it's just one Swedish legend. He's like, I don't know if that's Daniel or Henrik. It's just a city.
He's like, that guy's always around.
Yeah, I just saw him in the room over there. Now he's over here. Like, it's crazy.
He's everywhere. Now, if you're getting the top version of Elias Pettersson and having him and Stützle as a 1-2 punch down the middle, like, that's unreal. But that cap hit scares me away. I think I'm out on this.
No, are you serious? I just talked to.
But look at the hierarchy.
A $3.75 million difference scares you away, and you're out. That's a David Perron. That's a David Perron. Just dump David Perron or don't re-sign him, and you don't have that issue. The cap's going up. I don't know, Ross. I think the money cannot scare you from acquiring a 100-point player.
I feel like this would be a Pierre Dorion type trade, though.
No,
I don't think Steve Staios does it. I don't think Steve Staios does.
I don't think so either. But I think you're off on that. It's not a lot of money. He's signed long term. He's young. Like you said, a 1-2 punch of Stützle and Pettersson would be unreal.
But who's the second line center in that situation?
Who cares? Do you have a problem with having two number one centers?
No. What I do love about Pettersson is he's not afraid to shoot the puck on the power play.
Yeah, and I don't know. The thing that would scare me, Ross, and if you went this way, I would lean with you, is what you got to add to Josh Norris to get him. Because you got to think the Vancouver, like I was looking through the Sens lineup and draft picks and prospects and cap hits and things like that. And I don't know what else the Canucks would want to add. And I got to think that like a first round pick would be the attachment to Josh Norris and then maybe a prospect or another roster player. So I just don't know how the Ottawa Senators would make this work trade wise. And I'm not about to perform mock trades because nobody has ever in the history of the NHL world proposed a mock trade that made sense.
Or that's actually ended up happening.
Yeah. Or even close to happening.
But look, I'd be excited if Elias Pettersson came to Ottawa, but here's why if I'm Steve Staios, I'm not doing it. You went all summer saying you believed in the core, and that core is finally coming together. Now, have they all been producing recently? No, but Josh Norris has probably been one of the more productive players of that core, doing other things than getting on the score sheet as well. It would just feel like such a strange time to be like, okay, now is when we pull the plug on a core piece in the middle of a season where you've won 7 of 10. You've finally figured out a long-term successful strategy. It feels like you'd just be dropping a bomb into that locker room that just doesn't need to be a problem. I'd prefer Ottawa sniff around those second, third line wingers that can help, because do you really need a center? If Josh Norris is healthy, we're about to see the 82nd game all time where Josh Norris, Shane Pinto, and Tim Stützle play in the same game, and they're 47, 28, and 6. Like, they have strength down the middle. Do you really want to switch out a centerman for a centerman? I think they should add on the wing and defense rather than at center.
Nope, that's a fair point, and I hear that, Ross, especially when you have Norris locked up at if he hits his potential, that's good value in my opinion. And he obviously seems to fit in well with the team on and off the ice when things are going well. The one thing I would say to that though, Ross, is to go Vegas style. Sometimes even when things are going good, you have to take a look at opportunities and be like, these players don't become available all the time. Like this is a once in a while opportunity, like Mark Stones, Jack Eichels. Those guys aren't available all the time for a good reason. And when you
Mark
have
Stones are never available. That's what the GM said after he got him from Ottawa.
Yeah, like you don't have opportunities to acquire these guys very often, and especially acquire these guys at a low point. We talked about the point totals there. Like the Canucks are losing a lot of leverage here, especially that teams know they basically are playing a game of chicken with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, with both those guys being like, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. Either trade him or trade me. And like those players are, this situation rarely ever happens. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think for once, Ross, we have a role reversal here where I'm fanboying over a big move and you're raining on my parade. But this would be an opportunity where if the Ottawa Senators really wanted to make a splash, this is so different than acquiring DeBrincat, who had 1 year on his deal and didn't want to be there, or acquiring Chychrun, a third top 4 left shot defenseman that the fit just didn't really make sense either, even though he had term and was a good cap hit. This is very different in my opinion. So it would be really exciting if the Ottawa Senators went for this.
And it would also keep him out of potentially being a Detroit Red Wing, where I just see it's such a fit. Like,
oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think the Red Wings, they should be all over that, because you're not winning a cup with Dylan Larkin as your number one center.
I feel like the Red Wings would be more likely to go for JT Miller.
Oh yeah? I just need this thing to end. The JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, like, can you imagine being in that every single day?
Well, it's not going well for them, Ross. They're outside of a playoff spot with the Calgary Flames.
Big win for them last night, though.
There.
They beat St. Louis, who was nipping at their heels, too.
Yep. Yeah, fair. But I mean, if you would have told the Vancouver Canucks fans that this is the position they would be in this year, this is, I don't want, colossal failure is a little bit much, but certainly this is a disappointment.
Oh, it's definitely a disappointment, but it's also just frustrating to hear the same story over and over again. I was going to say I could only imagine what Vancouver Canucks fans are doing, but we had death by 3,000 cuts in 2018 and 2019. That trade deadline where you moved Matt Duchene, you moved Ryan Dzingel, even, who was having a good year. That was so weird, too. 2 separate trades to the same team in like a day.
It was weird. And what, like, the Dzingel deal arguably turned out better than the Duchene deal.
Yeah, it was Claire and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely better.
Crazy.
Where's Julian Bergman now?
No clue.
I think that was a different trade. That was the Mike Hoffman trade, actually, which was another brutal. What was it? Michael Bodker and Julian Bergman?
Yeah.
And we gave up the higher pick.
Oh, man. And then San Jose flipped them immediately for a better deal.
Whoops. For better deal. Oops. Right back into our division, too. Thanks for coming out. Oh, man. Times have changed. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on Elias Pettersson and the potential fit with the Ottawa Senators. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is I stand with Thomas Chabot. This is not Sparty's fault. Thomas Chabot, after practice today, said, quote, I mean, Sparty was just there doing his job. Like, that's just a cat doing his job, and he's getting massacred for it. So I stand with Spartacat.
And the Senators, they know what they're doing. The vibes were off in Sens land, so they posted a feature today, and it is about Donovan Sabrango buying his mom mini donkeys. So go check that out on your favorite Senators.
They had that one loaded in the bank, just being like, we got to save this Donovan Sabrango donkey feature for when times are tough.
Put the donkeys out. It's time to get the vibes at an all-time high. Hey, they looked like an ass yesterday, and now they got a bunch of them on their TV screen today. All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be a Wednesday edition of Locked On Senators. For today, we say goodbye. Thank you so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show everywhere you get podcasts. Please subscribe on YouTube. Steal your partners, your family, your friends' phones, and do the same. The road to 10,000 continues. For today, we say goodbye. That's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.